Johnny Carson was in the middle of his monologue when a producer leaned in and whispered something that made him pause mid-sentence. A young boy was waiting backstage, a child who, according to doctors, shouldn't have been alive. 7-year-old Timothy had been given just 6 months to live. Yet his final wish wasn't to visit Disneyland or meet Superman. He wanted to shake hands with Johnny Carson. The producers assumed it would be a quick meet and greet, maybe 30 seconds, a photo opportunity at most. But when Timothy was wheeled onto the stage and looked up at Johnny with eyes far older than his years, eyes shaped by pain no child should endure, something inside the king of late night shifted. What Johnny did next, in front of 20 million viewers unprepared for what they would see, revealed the real man behind the smile and would stay with him for the rest of his life. It was October 12, 1981, at Studio One in Burbank, California. Just another Monday night taping of The Tonight Show. Johnny was in top form that night. His jokes were landing, the crowd was roaring, and Ed McMahon's signature laugh filled the room. Everything was running smoothly. Then Fred de Cordova, the show's executive producer, appeared at the side of the stage, something he never did during filming. Johnny noticed immediately that something was different. During the commercial break, Fred walked over and spoke quietly. "Johnny, we've got a situation. There's a boy backstage from the Make-A-Wish Foundation. He's not doing well. His wish was to meet you." Johnny looked toward the stage entrance. "How bad?" he asked. "Terminal leukemia," Fred replied. "The family drove from San Diego this morning. Doctors say this might be his last good day." Johnny didn't think twice. "Bring him out. You sure? We can do it after the show privately." "Bring him out," Johnny said again. Timothy Marsh was just 7 years old and weighed only 42 pounds. He had been fighting leukemia for 3 years, and everyone knew how the story would end. Yet through it all, Timothy had one dream. One thing that gave him hope through endless hospital stays, chemotherapy sessions, and long nights when his mother tried not to cry in front of him. He wanted to meet Johnny Carson. Timothy's mother, Barbara, was raising him alone. His father had left soon after the diagnosis, unable to handle the pain of it all, so it was just the two of them. And no matter how rough the days were, every night at 11:30 p.m., Barbara would turn on The Tonight Show. She'd sit beside Timothy's hospital bed, and together they'd watch Johnny. Timothy couldn't always laugh. Some nights the pain was too much. But when Johnny made his mother laugh, Timothy felt a little better. 2 weeks earlier, he had told her softly, "Mama, before I go to heaven, can I meet the man who makes you smile?" Barbara had tried to explain to Timothy that people like Johnny Carson don't usually meet ordinary kids. You couldn't just call NBC and request it. Still, she had reached out, contacting the Make-A-Wish Foundation and making the request, never truly expecting it to happen. Then, on October 12th, the call came. There was one available slot. Could they make it to Burbank? Barbara said yes before the woman had even finished asking. The commercial break ended. Johnny turned to the audience. "Folks, we're going to do something a little different tonight. We have a very special guest joining us." The stage door opened and a production assistant rolled Timothy's wheelchair onto the stage. The audience paused, unsure how to react. This wasn't a celebrity. It was a tiny boy in a wheelchair, bald from chemotherapy, wearing a suit far too large for him. He clutched something close to his chest. Johnny walked over immediately and knelt down to be at eye level with Timothy. "Hey there, buddy. What's your name?" Timothy's voice was quiet but clear. "Timothy Marsh, I'm 7. I came from San Diego." "San Diego? That's a long drive. You tired?" "A little," Timothy admitted. "But I really wanted to meet you." Johnny smiled. The genuine, warm Carson smile, not the one he wore for TV. "Well, I'm very glad you're here, Timothy. Is that your mom?" He gestured toward Barbara, standing just off stage, barely holding her emotions in check. "Yeah, that's my mama. She watches you every night with me." "Every night? Even the reruns?" Timothy giggled, a real happy giggle. "Even the reruns." The audience was silent. Millions at home were silent too, because something rare was happening. Something genuine. Johnny noticed Timothy holding something in his hands. "What have you got there, pal?" Timothy held out a homemade card, construction paper, crayons, and a child's drawing of Johnny sitting at his desk. "I made this for you. Mama helped with the spelling." Johnny took the card, looking at it carefully. His hands trembled slightly as he opened the card. Inside, in a child's handwriting, were the words, "Thank you for making my mama smile. Love, Timothy." Johnny read it once, then again, then a third time. The audience could see it happen. That legendary Carson composure, the calm, unshakable exterior he was known for, and began to crack. He looked at Timothy, the little boy who was dying. This 7-year-old hadn't wished for Disneyland or to meet a superhero. He had wished to say thank you to Johnny for making his mom smile. Johnny's eyes welled up. His voice caught, and for a moment he couldn't speak. Timothy noticed and gently reached out, placing his small hand on Johnny's arm. "It's okay, Mr. Carson. Mama cries sometimes too. She says it means you have a big heart." That was all it took. Johnny lost control completely. He leaned down and embraced Timothy carefully and gently, aware of how fragile the boy was. Johnny Carson, the king of late night, the man who had interviewed every president since Nixon, a performer who rarely showed weakness, was sobbing on national television. The audience wasn't sure whether to applaud or stay silent. Many of them were crying as well. Ed McMahon at his desk had tears streaming down his face. Doc Severinsen, the band leader, was wiping his eyes. Even the camera crew and the boom operator were moved to tears. 20 million Americans witnessed a moment of genuine, unscripted humanity. Slowly, Johnny pulled himself together, still kneeling beside Timothy's wheelchair. His voice rough but steady, he said, "You are one very special kid, Timothy. You know that, right? Mama says it too." "Your mama's right," Johnny said, pausing. "Can I ask you something?" "Okay," Timothy replied. "What do you want to be when you grow up?" The question hung in the air. Everyone in the studio knew Timothy wouldn't grow up. The doctors had been clear. "Weeks maybe, not months," Timothy answered without hesitation. "A comedian, like you." Johnny's expression shifted, a mix of pride, pain, and heartbreak all at once. "Yeah, you got any jokes for me?" Timothy nodded eagerly. "Why did the chicken cross the playground?" Johnny waited, "I don't know, to get to the other slide." It was a small, simple joke, a kid's joke that barely made sense. But Johnny laughed. Really laughed. The audience laughed with him, and Timothy's face lit up as if he had just performed at Carnegie Hall. "That's good, really good," Johnny said. Then he stood and addressed the audience. "Ladies and gentlemen, Timothy Marsh and the future of comedy." The audience gave Timothy a standing ovation. Not a polite one, the kind reserved for moments you know are meaningful. What followed wasn't captured on camera. During the commercial break, Johnny did something he had never done before. He had the producers clear the stage. Everyone left except Timothy, his mother, and Johnny. Johnny sat down on the floor beside Timothy's wheelchair. Just the three of them alone on the Tonight Show stage. "Timothy, I want you to have something," Johnny said. He removed his watch, a Rolex he had worn for 15 years, worth more than Barbara earned in a year. "This watch has been with me for every show, every interview, every moment, and I want you to have it so you can always remember that you're not just special to your mama. You're special to me too." Timothy's eyes widened. "I can't, that's too much." "You're not taking it. I'm giving it." Big difference. Barbara was crying and full-on sobbing. "Johnny, we can't accept this." He looked at her firmly. "Ma'am, your son taught me something tonight. He reminded me why I do this. It's not about ratings or celebrities. It's about making people smile when they need it most. You've been watching me every night and I didn't even know you existed. But now I do. I'll make sure Timothy gets the best care available, whatever he needs, however long he needs it." Barbara began to protest. "Johnny, we don't have—" "I didn't ask about money," he interrupted. "Whatever he needs." Johnny wrote something on a piece of paper, his personal phone number, and then handed it to Barbara. "You call me day or night. If Timothy needs anything, you call me." Timothy passed away on April 3, 1982, 6 months after that Tonight Show appearance. 6 months the doctors said he wouldn't have. But they were extraordinary months. Johnny kept his promise. He called Timothy every week, sometimes twice a week. They talked about jokes, comedy, and life. When Timothy was too sick to speak, Johnny would stay on the line while Barbara held the phone to his ear, reciting his monologue. Private performances for an audience of 1. Johnny also paid for experimental treatments and flew in. Johnny also arranged specialists, made sure Timothy could see Star Wars in a private screening when he was too weak to go to a theater. And he did one more thing, something he never spoke about publicly while alive. He set up a trust fund for Barbara, enough to cover all medical bills, funeral costs, and enough left over, so she would never have to worry about money again. The only condition, she could not reveal where it came from. After Timothy passed, Barbara sent Johnny a letter. He kept it in his desk drawer for the rest of his life. When Johnny died in 2005, the letter was found there. It read simply, "Dear Johnny, Timothy passed this morning peacefully. He was holding your watch. His last words were, 'Tell Mr. Carson I hope I made him laugh.' You gave my son 6 extra months of joy. You gave him dignity. You gave him a reason to fight a little longer. But most importantly, you saw him not as a dying boy, not as a tragedy, but as Timothy, a kid who loved jokes and wanted to make his mama smile. Thank you for seeing my son. Forever grateful, Barbara." Johnny never spoke about Timothy publicly. When asked about emotional moments on the show, he would deflect, change the subject, or make a joke. But those who knew him said Timothy changed something fundamental in Johnny. After that night, Johnny began to pay attention differently, to the audience, to the crew behind the cameras, and to the stories people weren't telling. He started a private foundation, unknown to anyone until after his death. It funded pediatric cancer research, providing millions of dollars all anonymously. Ed McMahon once said, "After Timothy, Johnny stopped performing life and started living it." That little boy reminded him what matters. On Johnny's final episode in 1992, someone in the audience held up a sign, "Remember Timothy?" The cameras captured Johnny's reaction when he saw it. Johnny nodded slightly, touching his wrist where the watch had been. After the show, a reporter asked him about the sign. What did "Remember Timothy" mean? Johnny smiled, a genuine warm smile. It means some of the most important people you'll ever meet aren't famous. They're just important. Here's what people often miss about October 12, 1981. It wasn't remarkable because Johnny Carson cried on television. Celebrities cry all the time now. It barely raises an eyebrow. It was remarkable because for a few minutes Johnny forgot he was on camera. He wasn't performing. He wasn't playing the role of the legendary talk show host. He was just a man meeting a dying child and realizing that all the fame, success, and legendary status in the world meant nothing compared to making one little boy feel special before he died. Timothy came to The Tonight Show to meet his hero. Johnny walked away knowing he had met his. We live in a world obsessed with celebrity, followers, likes, and viral moments. Success is measured by numbers and influence. But on October 12, 1981, the most successful man on television learned a lesson from a 42-pound, 7-year-old boy. Success isn't how many people know your name. It's about being there for those who need you most. Timothy used his dying wish to thank someone who made his mom smile. Johnny used his fame to ensure Timothy's last months were filled with dignity and joy. One child, one moment, one reminder that we're all human beings trying to matter to someone. The question Timothy asked, "Why did the chicken cross the playground?" wasn't what changed everything. The real question, unspoken, was, "Do I matter?" And Johnny Carson, with tears on national television, answered, "Yes, you matter more than you'll ever know." Every child fighting an impossible battle matters. Every parent holding their hand in a hospital room matters. Every person who feels invisible matters. Timothy reminded us of that truth. Johnny made sure we couldn't forget. If this story moved you, hit that subscribe button. Share it with someone who needs to remember that fame and success mean little if we don't use them to help others. Comment below about a time someone made you feel seen when it mattered most. And ring the notification bell for more stories about the human moments behind Hollywood's biggest legends. Because sometimes, the most important people aren't on stage. They're in the audience, quietly hoping someone notices that they exist.